we all decided as a team that the first fight should be in the UK. It's not a case of being arrogant, but at the moment there's a very clear A side in the fight, and the fight should take place where the A side wants the fight to take place. If Wilder wins, he becomes the A side. They made a very strong offer, there's no denying that, but it's not an amount of money that's going to change Anthony's life. We've got a situation with Povetkin where probably next week they'll call for purse bids, then it takes another 2 weeks, something like that, for the purse bids. I think realistically, 2 weeks is the absolute deadline. We're speaking very frequently, and to be fair to Deontay, he understands. It's not like he's moaning about it. He always felt that he'd have to come to the UK. And like I said, they made a strong offer. Some of the points or some of the clauses in that offer weren't acceptable. Some were. We could have talked about them, but it was just a decision from the team that the first one should be in the UK. We want to go in September, and that's either going to be, most likely at this stage, Wilder or Povetkin. Both tough fights. By the end of this week, I want to be in a position to know if Wilder wants to fight. So those are the words of Eddie Hearn. That is the latest. I'm getting tired of all this stuff, trust me. I just want the fight to get signed. I just want all the fanboy back and forth BS to end, the fight to get signed, and for the two guys to get in the ring and duke it out. That's what I want. That's my bottom line. You know, I'm not interested in the back and forth between the fans. I want the fight to happen. But as it goes, that's where we're at. Still apparently talking about one fight happening in the UK and the other in the US. A 2-fight deal. This still seems to be what they're talking about. I like the fact that Eddie Hearn said if Wilder wins, he's the A side in the rematch. You know, these are encouraging things to hear. And I like the things that he says about Deontay understands. So, you know, it is a case, as far as I'm concerned, of Anthony Joshua being worried about fighting abroad. But it's also a case about Deontay Wilder and his team being worried about fighting abroad in this instance too. You know, it's not like Wilder's never traveled abroad. It's not like Wilder hasn't been willing to travel abroad before. He has. But this is not against Povetkin. This is not against Audley Harrison. This is against Anthony Joshua. And same for Joshua. You know, if it was against a lesser opponent, Joshua might be willing to travel and go abroad. But against someone as dangerous as Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua clearly wants all the odds stacked in his favor in terms of being in his comfort zone, in front of his home fans, in familiar surroundings, in the time zone that he's used to, having the referee and the officials looking at him favorably. This is what Anthony Joshua wants. He wants home advantage, but so does Wilder. Okay, the thing is that Joshua will make a bit more money if he takes the fight in the States, but not dramatically more money than he's used to making. It'll be a bit more, don't get it twisted. He might make 10 million more than he's used to making, but he's been making 20 million. Do you understand? Whereas Wilder, if he takes the fight in the UK, he is going to make dramatically more than he's ever made in his life. Even the initial offer from Team Joshua of $12 million, Wilder has never made $12 million for a fight in his career. That is dramatically more than Deontay Wilder's ever made before. So Wilder, in a sense, has more incentive to travel, really, than Joshua. Yeah, Wilder's got more incentive to travel. People saying Joshua should travel, because they're talking about this 50 million and he said he would take it. And, maybe Joshua should be careful what comes out of his mouth in future. All right, be careful what you ask for because you might just get it. But the bottom line is, Joshua doesn't stand to gain as much traveling as Wilder does. Yeah? In the sense that it's not going to make as much of a difference to his purse, him traveling to the States, as it will make to Wilder traveling to the UK. Wilder is going to make way, way more money fighting Joshua than he's ever made against anyone else in his career. Not even close. I mean, Wilder's been making like $1 million, $2 million a fight. Against Joshua, he can make definitely over 12 million. You understand what I'm saying? It's a huge difference. Whereas with Joshua, the difference of extra money he might get in the States is not that much. So he'd rather sacrifice the extra money for home advantage, for the referee, the judges, the atmosphere all being in his favor. That's what he'd rather do because he sees it as a dangerous fight, and he clearly sees it as a fight that he may well lose. And here's the thing as well. People saying that Eddie Hearn is the one protecting Joshua in this situation. I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes. But judging by what Eddie Hearn has said, it's actually Joshua who's more reluctant to go to the United States than Eddie Hearn is. Personally, I don't think Eddie Hearn actually rates Deontay Wilder that highly. That's my personal view. I don't think he rates him that highly. I think Anthony Joshua is more worried about Deontay Wilder than Eddie Hearn is, based upon what Eddie Hearn has said. Because Eddie Hearn has come out and said it's Joshua's decision wanting the fight in the UK. Promoters are generally the ones who are supposed to take the flack, right? So for him to say it was Joshua's decision, and remember, Joshua hasn't renewed his contract with Eddie Hearn. So if Eddie Hearn is saying stuff that's untrue about Anthony Joshua, Joshua's not going to be happy about that. If Eddie Hearn is putting it on Joshua, no. So to me, I'm thinking what Eddie Hearn is saying about Joshua wanting to fight in the UK and it being Joshua and his team's decision, not Eddie Hearn's decision, I actually believe that. I think it's Joshua is the one who's more worried about Wilder than Eddie Hearn is. Eddie Hearn, I think, might be scratching his head a little bit and thinking, Wilder's not that good, Josh. Are you sure you don't want to travel for the extra money? Because Eddie Hearn's going to get paid either way. Eddie Hearn is Joshua's promoter. He's going to take a big chunk of Joshua's purse either way, wherever the fight takes place. And in fact, it might be easier for him if the fight takes place in the United States, because then he don't have to handle the logistics. All he does is turn up at ringside, take a slice of the money, talk at the press conference. That's it. You don't have to organize no stadiums and press tours and all that kind of business. Hearn won't have to do that if the fight is in the US. So he might actually prefer that. But to me, it seems like Joshua is the one who wants to fight in the UK, and he's the one who's more concerned about the home advantage and more concerned about the danger that Wilder brings to the table, So he's willing to sacrifice extra money that he'd make in the States to make sure he gets home advantage. At the moment, it seems Wilder also, his team want home advantage. They don't want to, lose the advantage of having the referee, the officials, the time zone and all that kind of stuff, the crowd, all in their favor. They don't want to lose that advantage. And they'd rather take whatever money they're going to pay Wilder in the US, because nobody knows how much Wilder's getting in this deal. They're all talking about how much Joshua's getting. How much is Wilder getting in the US? Because he's not a pay-per-view fighter in the US. This will be the first pay-per-view he's ever done. How much is he going to get? So anyway, the back and forth continues, and I'm sure it will continue until one of these guys actually, or both of these guys get in the ring. But if the fight don't happen, Joshua against Povetkin and Wilder against Brazil. I mean, Brazil is one of Anthony Joshua's leftovers. Facts. Povetkin is better than Brazil. Facts. Joshua in 20 fights has still fought much better opposition than Wilder has fought in 40 fights. Facts. Joshua has fought, people that Wilder has fought before, like Molina, and dispatched him in a much better fashion than Wilder did. Facts. Joshua has taken part in 2 unifications and Wilder has taken part in 0 unifications. Facts. Joshua has beaten Vladimir Klitschko, a guy who Deontay Wilder could have fought for many years but didn't fight. Facts. Joshua has fought Joseph Parker, the WBO heavyweight champion, somebody else Deontay Wilder could have fought in a unification but didn't. Facts. So Joshua fought Carlos Takam, somebody who's better than most of the people that Deontay Wilder has fought in his world title defenses. Facts. I could go on, but you get the point. All right. People want to go overboard and call Anthony Joshua a coward. Well, look at who he's fought in his career and look at who Wilder's fought. And tell me who's fought the tougher opposition. And not only who's fought the tougher opposition, but who's fought the tougher opposition and done it within their first 22 fights. Who the hell was Wilder fighting in his first 22 fights? Look at their competition. And Wilder and Joshua have got a similar amount of amateur experience. They were both Olympians, right? Similar amount of amateur experience. But yet Joshua didn't need 30 odd fights before he fought good competition, whereas Wilder did. Facts. All right. Joshua's a unified world champion within 22 fights. Is Wilder? No. Wilder didn't even fight somebody with a pulse until he fought Burma Stavern in the first fight. How many fights in was Wilder then? Like 30 fights in before he fought somebody with a pulse? Come on, people. Come on. We're dealing with facts. If you want to criticize Joshua, that's cool. Criticize him on something legitimate. Is he worried about going to the United States? Yes. Is he worried about fighting Wilder in his backyard? Yes. That's legitimate criticism. But you can say the same for Wilder going to the UK until he signs and he's got more incentive to go. Wilder's got more to gain going to the UK than Joshua's got going to the United States for this particular fight. Yeah, in terms of the percentage increase in his purse is far greater for Wilder going to the UK than it is Joshua going to the US. But if you want to criticize Joshua's fighting style, say he's stiff, say he's slow, he's clunky. Those are legitimate things to say. Say Wilder is faster than Joshua. He is. Wilder's faster. He's more athletic. He's more agile. He's more sudden. He's not as clunky. You know, these are things about Deontay Wilder that are true. These are criticisms about Anthony Joshua you could make that are legit. But don't come to me with all the BS. I'll shut you down. You understand what I'm telling you? With facts. So anyway, drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel. It's happening. I'm out.